every time I see her now. No time for the old man, I ain't holding the hand of the young man neither. I'm headed down to the land of the wicked, gonna kick it with the freaks and the non-believers.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Makowski and welcome to Makowski's Minute. Today I have here with me one of my dear friends, Joe Naminsky, the drummer of Loxodon. Hey Joe, how are you?
Good, how you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, feeling good.
Excellent. Well, I'm so happy to be here sharing this lovely screen with you.
Hey, I'm happy to have you, man. It's good to see you, with everything going on this year and, just madness. So it is damn good to see you,
It's good to hear a friendly voice, a fellow Joe.
Yeah, for sure, a fellow drummer. And I am really happy that you especially wanted to talk about this album because just, drummer to drummer, musician to musician. Today we are talking about Rush, A Farewell to Kings. And this is just a great album, man. I've been jamming this a lot ever since you said you wanted to do it, and I've had it in my collection, and I've thrown it on here or there, but I've never really sat down, when you plant yourself in the living room and just listen to a record, for an afternoon, like.
Oh yeah, and what a good one to sit down and really focus into. It's got so many atmospheric touches. I mean, through Xanadu and Cygnus X1 on the album. It's just like a great piece of art, and that's why I really wanted to talk about this specific Rush album out of the 20 different studio albums they've got.
Oh yeah.
A Farewell to Kings being one of my favorites, and they just re-released the 40th anniversary of it not too long ago or something. So that was, I just thought, made a lot of sense.
Well, that'd have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
17, yeah. Damn, 4 years. Wow.
Yeah, this album's 43 years old, and it just rocks. The writing on it, the drumming, Rick Geddy using his Rickenbacker, which is like my favorite bass guitar tone of.
Well, that's one of the things that they really talk about too. Just you can go to Rush.com and they'll talk about the album and stuff, just little things on there, and it's them using different instruments and stuff like that. They said it was the first time that they ever recorded out of Toronto. They were over in Wales recording, and you and I talked earlier about this. It was the follow up to 2112. So
the album that gave them their creative freedom, basically.
Yeah.
After Caress of Steel being in 75 being one of their worst selling albums, and the quote down the tubes tour, as they say in the documentary, 2112 was this blast of go out with guns blazing, let's write the most badass record, proggy rock. I mean, prog was still pretty new in 76 when they wrote this album, I feel like. So they were really putting their balls on the chopping block.
I mean, you and I talked about that the other night too, about just, they looked up to like bands like Yes and stuff like that, but it was still, it wasn't, that was it. It was like, who are we looking up to? It was Yes, there's a few other bands like that, and then Rush came on the scene and just kind of kept it moving, I guess you could say, in mainstream at least.
Right, and inspired a lot of artists, us, but also the artists of the 80s and 90s that wrote the other music that I love.
Yeah.
Everyone is, especially like the Foo Fighters are huge Rush fans. Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, introduced them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and just big Rush nuts. If you watch the documentary Beyond the Lighted Stage, everyone, like every famous rock star on there, it's just like, these guys are the best. They're
I've
awesome.
watched that documentary like 3 or 4 times just because every time I just get like inspiration from it, I'm like halfway through it and I'm like, oh, I need a pair of sticks. I'm like ready, I just love that documentary. It's so awesome.
When you hear Neil talk about him leaving his job at the department store with his dad or
with
whatever.
His dad, yeah.
I'm going to go on the road to be a rock star now. And he goes, well, you'll always have a job here, son. Like, how cool is that?
Oh, then the home movies of Alex Lifeson, like telling his parents he's not going to college and he's dropping out of school, and
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
hey, things got serious. But all right, it was released in September of '77. It was the follow up to 2112. We were just talking about that. It was the fifth studio album, and I got one charting on the Billboard 200. It hit number 33, and it stayed within the charts for about 7 weeks. And Closer to the Heart was the first single off of it. And like we said, it was recorded in Wales. And about recording in Wales, it was the first time that they recorded outside Toronto, yeah, but I think Neil said that it was the mellow countryside atmosphere because they felt maybe confined or something during 2112, and you know, and like you were saying, it was like the all out album, like we're gonna make it or break it, kind of, we're gonna put this out. And now after that was kind of, they could relax a little bit.
Yeah, they had a little bit more creative freedom, and I mean, it was almost a continuation or a sequel to 2112. I felt sonically, where you open up with a Farewell to Kings, the song, and that's a 6 minute banger with a cool guitar intro. It's very like, I don't know what the word would be, like medieval.
Yeah, you read my mind.
Yeah, and then Closer to the Heart, one of their still most popular songs that you'll still hear on the radio, that every aspiring guitarist tries to learn the intro to and stuff, and even my fat fingers mess around trying to get it. And then you got Xanadu being the second track on the album. That 11 minutes of pure just proggy bliss.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. That track, it's really what I've paid attention to most from listening to the album was that track. It was just,
the drum intro on that, when after they do the intro section and then Neil comes with the and they're using their double necks and then just like in their stupid kimonos. I mean, respect to anyone who wants to wear a kimono in a rock band, but
when you can pull it off,
yeah, when you can pull it. I want to see the Gasoline Gypsies wear them at the next show.
We can definitely pull that off.
Okay.
At least I can pull it off. I don't know about the rest of them. I look great.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see it. I'll wear one too. We'll get matching ones. It'll be great.
Oh, okay. But I wish that at the time I knew more Rush, because really it took me a while to get into Rush. Even as a drummer, like I knew who Neil Peart was, and I knew, I knew Tom Sawyer and YYZ and stuff. And then it just, like 16, 17, I was, maybe 18, 19, finally like, wow, Rush, And then I went and saw him on Time Machine tour with a couple friends, and that was just cool because they would, Geddy would walk out on stage, this weird thing, and he'd pull the lever, and the screen would, it'd be like a time machine, and it'd warp, and it'd be like 1977, and it'd play a tune from, Farewell to Kings, and they just did that the whole night, and it was amazing.
The tour backwards in time, right? Like they started with the new stuff and then went backwards, or was that their 40th anniversary tour? No, or Time Machine was the anniversary of Moving Pictures?
I think so, because they did that thing for like the first half of the concert, and then the rest of it they did like all Moving Pictures. They like took like a 20-minute break, and then they came back and did all Moving Pictures. And
that's right. Yeah, and they were like they did Witch Hunt and Camera Eye for the first time live in decades or something. Dude. Yeah, that was sweet. I love that.
Mind blowing.
Yes, indeed.
Man.
That was a good one. I think I've seen them 7 or 8 times. Ever since Feedback was my first tour I saw them at in 2004, and then I saw them every other time after that. So.
And one other thing that you and I talked about a couple days ago, that the nerd aspect of being a Rush fan. Like, you either are a Rush fan or you're not a Rush fan. Like, and
there's not a lot of gray area.
No. And well, me and you were joking around that like go to a party and if you want to find the Rush fan, be like, man, Neil Peart's drum part on Working Man is awesome. And have like the two dudes out of 50 at a party be like, oh, that's not Neil, you son of a bitch, you know, like so.
Right, yeah, being that for those not in the know, John Rutsey was the first drummer of Rush who performed on their 1974 album, which Working Man was on, their debut. And then Neil joined in Fly By Night in 75.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to, yeah.
Well, I mean, when he did that, though, he took over the lyric aspect of it, too. I mean, Neil wrote so much. I think he wrote all the lyrics for all their stuff after that for a while. I mean...
all of them.
Yeah.
He's written all the lyrics. Which is amazing for people, you know, consider drummers to be whatever relationship in the band they are in terms of writing. Oh, look at that.
Oh, I know. The Young Boys. But no, for sure. Like, you don't see a lot of... I mean, you know, drummers I've added here, they're helped out, but, I mean... And in the documentary, when Geddy was... I think they said, you know, went on tour, he would have books upon books. He'd have a whole, like, library with him. And that's when they were like, oh, I bet he could write some lyrics, but...
Yeah.
Then you see the paragraphs and paragraphs of just these lyrics, you know. Geddy's singing his ass off.
and some of them are just like out there.
Oh yeah.
But I love him. I think he's a better. I mean, hot take. Neil Peart's a better lyricist than he is a drummer. I'll say it.
Wow.
I think so.
Wow.
I have my own opinion.
Bold statement. Bold statement.
I mean, I love Neil and I love the drumming he constructs, and he was very heavily influential on me as a drummer. But I think his lyrics are just so fun and interesting, and I find more enjoyment in them than I do maybe listening to his drum solos personally.
Well, I could get behind that. I mean, the man wrote incredible lyrics. He really did. If you ever actually have the time to sit down with this album and actually check out all of the lyrics. I mean, check out the whole album, just the instrumentation on it. Just, it's a mind-blowing album. I think just everything they did was just, they always tried to challenge themselves as musicians and everything, too. And that really shows in this album, especially in A Farewell to Kings, you know.
Oh yeah, a lot of time changes and cool stuff. And I mean, right, this is the album also before Permanent Waves, and I also love Permanent Waves. I think this is my favorite era of Rush to listen to. Not that I don't love the 80s synth stuff like everyone else does, but this felt like the most adventurous Rush to me. You know, like the 2112, A Farewell to Kings, Permanent Waves, those three albums were just like long form song structures with a lot of different moving parts and like ballsy instrumentation.
No, and I was gonna save this till the end, but it just fits in what we're talking about right now. There's a quote from Geddy Lee that is just on. I was pretty sure it was just on their website when I was checking out, just on Rush's website. You can check out their whole discography on there and get some stuff behind each album on there. And a quote from Geddy said, "It's the only one of our albums, apart from 2112, that he can really live with, that he doesn't look at and try to pick it apart or find fault with it." Cool. He said it still sounds very positive to him every time he listens to it. So that totally with what you're talking about, you know, it's just, that's awesome. That's great. And, you know, me and you as musicians, I know you know to not pick apart a piece of work that you made every time you listen to it is just a pain. It's a pain in the ass.
Oh, dude, it's tough. I know. I haven't recorded too much stuff, but the stuff I have done 6 months later, I'm like, oh, why did I play it like that?
Dude, every time. Me too.
Yeah, it's... we're all our own worst critics in that sense.
Oh, for sure. And hey, even Geddy Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. Oh, by the way, it was the first U.S. album, or first album in the U.S. that went gold, actually. And just a few
Nice.
weeks after it came out. And yeah, let's talk about Closer to the Heart for a minute, though, because that was just the first single off the album. And it was one of the first Rush tunes that I tried to play on drums, you know,
Uh-huh.
and then Tom Sawyer, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to Closer to the Heart and try that.
right.
But-
Yeah, Closer to the Heart's a bit more straightforward rock song.
Right. But, I mean, I just like the placement of it on the album, and I think you and I, again, talked about this before. It was just because you have these jams, and, I mean, the whole album just kind of is very consistent to me in telling a story or having at least a flow to it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think Closer to the Heart's just one of those great all-around written rock songs that be like, anyone could like this song. You know, not everyone likes Xanadu and Cygnus X1 and
Right.
these longer structures of tunes, but anyone could really like Closer to the Heart.
Oh.
Easy to understand message of, you know, each person in society has to do their part
Yeah,
to
for sure.
form a better place to live and blah blah blah, and then ripping guitar solo and then
Yeah.
chorus reprise, and it's just
And, you
classic
know,
pop
kneel
formula.
on those bells up there.
Oh yeah, the big tubular bells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which he played live, which I would hate to be that roadie that's got to lug in the tubular bells. But
Uh,
yes, I mean, how many times do you hear tubular bells on a rock album? Maybe more so nowadays. Perhaps.
maybe. We'll have to dig into that later.
Yeah.
Oh, but thanks for coming on, Joe. I appreciate it, man, and it's just really good to see you. You know, I want to get together and jam some drums with you, you know?
As soon as we get this, you know, all COVID mess over with, we're gonna do a little drum jamming.
Dude,
I
some
think.
drum jamming. We should just get the bands together. I want to see what you guys are up to. I want to hang out. I just want to hang out.
I miss you, but thanks for having me on, Joe. I appreciate it. This has been fun.
Oh, for sure. Oh, before you go, I've been doing a little pick of the week lately, and I picked this up this past week. Ooh, a little glare on there. It's Ray Charles. It's a portrait of Ray. And actually, my girlfriend picked this up because there's a version of Eleanor Rigby on here.
Oh, nice.
So I just found that and picked that up, and I thought that was cool. And that's my little pick. That's my find of the week, or my pick of the week there. Little Ray Charles.
Very cool.
So-
A portrait of Ray Charles.
Yeah.
Oh, a portrait of Ray. Nice.
Well, when you come
Yeah,
over, we'll
I'll
have
check that
to
out.
jam some Eleanor Rigby from Ray Charles.
Absolutely.
So, cool, man. I love you. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming on Mikowski's Minute here, and we will talk to you next time. Check out A Little Rush, A Farewell to Kings. It's a great album, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks, Joe.
Bye. Yeah,
Bye.
thanks, Joe.
See you, buddy.